This is the Montana Outdoor Podcast, brought to you in part by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. And by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. Now, get ready for more fascinating topics and the most interesting people you will ever find in Montana's great outdoors. We offer new podcasts most every Saturday. You can get a link to these podcasts by going to our website, montanooutdoor.com, or by going to our Facebook page, or just send an email to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com and say send a link to my email. It's that simple. Now let's head out with your host, Downrigger Dale, and see what's going on in Montana's great outdoors.
Thank you very much, Manny. And as Manny just said, I am Downrigger Dale with the Montana Outdoor Podcast. So good to have all of you along here again. Man, I just can't thank you guys enough about how you have grown this podcast. It just amazes me that we are now in the top 20% of podcasts in the nation. I just blows me away. So thank you very much. Want to give a special shout out to our active military around the world. We are just honored that when you guys have a chance to take a break, you spend some of that time with us and listen to this podcast. So thank you for your service, and we really do appreciate everything you do. Be safe and get home safe. Also, if you want me to give a special shout out to anybody here stateside, just shoot me an email, and I'm more than happy to do that. Manny gave my email earlier, and he'll give it again later, and so feel free to do that. Now, let's talk a little bit about my next guest. Here's a guy that you may at first go, well, wait a minute, why are we having this guy on here? But this guy loves the outdoors, and he also spends a tremendous amount of his time in the outdoors on a football field. I'm talking about Bobby Hauck. He is the head coach, of course, of the Montana Grizzlies. Coach, thanks so much for joining me here.
Downrigger, great to be on with you, man. I didn't realize you had those kind of numbers. I didn't know you were world famous. I'm going to have to start treating you a little nice.
Yeah, see? You never know who you're dealing with, Coach.
You guys are awesome, man. I love being on with you. It's great. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, Coach, let's talk a bit about maybe catch up with you a little as far as what you've been up to. This is the time of year, you're out recruiting. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, once the season gets over, it's pretty much all recruiting until this past Sunday. And then now we get into a off-season training mode. So it's kind of nice to be back in town after all that travel and all the recruiting piece. And I can start thinking about fishing season, man.
Yeah. So,
day like today, a saltwater trip sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Today, we have got some snow here, folks. But so, Bobby, when you're out and about, how do you? I mean, it just seems like for a football coach, it's just nonstop. I can't believe how much you guys all work. It just is nonstop. I would not be able to handle that well because I'm kind of lazy by nature, and
that's funny.
How do you get a chance to relax, Bobby?
Well, it is pretty nonstop, and days off sometimes are really hard to come by. I relax by getting on the river or on the lake and throwing that fly rod as every chance I get. I mean, to me, that's therapy. My wife, Stacy, thinks it's way cheaper than a shrink, so she supports the habit. And I enjoy the heck out of it. But it is nonstop. We get a little time off in July, but, it's an old school blizzard out there today, and we had a workout with the players. We got here at 5:15 this morning, so wow. It never ends, man.
No, it really doesn't. So really getting out on the water for you is a way to just decompress, which, a lot of people use fishing for that very reason. It is an incredible way, relaxing deal. I don't know if it's just the water going by you or what it is, but I'll be out on the lake with the captain, and I'm telling you, after a full day, you're a new man,
Well, you are. But if you have to listen to him for a full day, I don't see that as stress release. So I don't know. Do you have earplugs or earbuds or something? You listen to music, or what do you do?
Yeah, we've been buddies for so long. Neither one of us even listen to each other.
That's the happy couple out in the boat, huh?
Yeah. The perfect fishing partners. We don't listen to a word each other says, and that. But I'll tell you, it really is a great way to decompress. So let's talk a bit about what are some of your favorite places to get out and go to when it's time to decompress a little bit. Is there a favorite river you like to get to?
Well, it's interesting. Living in Missoula, there's sitting here in my office right now. I can, if I was a better caster, I could hit the Clark Fork from our practice field. So
yeah,
it's nice to have the access to that where you don't have to plan a trip. And, it's a nice day in April. You can cut out early if you don't have something big going on. So that's great. I grew up at the confluence of the Yellowstone and Boulder rivers. So I like getting over into that country when I get a chance. But the convenience of all of it here, whether it's Rock Creek or the Bitterroot or the Blackfoot or the Clark Fork, it's sure nice to be able to hit that on an afternoon in the spring around here.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is your favorite? Do you prefer going out on the river, or do you like going out on the lakes?
I like going out on the river more than the lakes.
Yeah.
I'm not as schooled in the Stillwater stuff like you guys are. But I do like it, especially during runoff. That's what I try to do. But, I like getting on the river. I particularly like wading versus floating. But I do like to float. I find that really relaxing.
Yeah. That without a doubt is a way to just kind of let your mind go. Do you ever use that at all with any of your players? I would assume there are times when a player gets just stressed out.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like you and the captain. We have a lot of guys on the team that do like the outdoors, like to hunt and fish, but it's not stress relief for them to be out there with me. They want to get away from me. So,
well, I suppose
they get out and go a lot.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, yeah. But I'll tell you that I remember my grandpa was the one that got me into fishing, and
me too.
And that was just a life changer for me. It really was, and I remember him telling me that the most important thing that you're going to learn about this, son, is you got to just slow it down. And I used to go up on the upper end of Rock Creek in the Pentlers with my grandfather when I was a kid. I looked forward to it every year. Mm-hmm. So when you're out fishing, do you find yourself drifting into thinking about last week's game or any of that, or do you just try to block it all out?
Well, I don't ever get to go in the fall,
right.
So that we work every day. But I try to block it out. In fact, I'll joke about it driving home. If I got somebody with me, I'll say, you know what a great day! I didn't think about football one time.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to. It doesn't always work, but I try to get away, escape a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's one of those things that when your work becomes your life, and as a coach, that intensity, that passion, all that has to be there 24/7. You can't really have a bad day. You got to be there and keep your guys pumped up and ready to roll. So I imagine at some point it's just time that you got to just say, okay, enough of this. Have you ever got to a point that you felt the stress was just too much for you?
I haven't yet, and I really love what I do, so I haven't gotten there yet. But it is nice to be able to unplug, and there's no better place to do that in Western Montana. I suppose one of these days, as I'm definitely in the second half of my coaching career, Downrigger. So
Mm-hmm.
I gotta figure out what I'm doing after I get done coaching. But I'm gonna go until I'm not having fun coaching and I like something better. Right now, my favorite thing to do is, aside from hanging out with my family, is to coach football. So
Mm-hmm.
when fishing becomes more of a draw than football, then I'm gonna do more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I imagine you won't know when that day comes. It'll just be well, here it is, time to go.
That's exactly what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be I think one day it's going to occur to me that I need to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't happened yet.
Now, did you ever think when you decided to, well, let's talk a little bit about how you got into football. What got you into that crazy sport?
Well, my dad was a high school football coach in small town Montana, as Montana Coaches Hall of Fame coach, and just being around it for so many years, yeah, I kind of happened into it. I remember when I told my mother I was either going to go in the Marine Corps and try to be a pilot or be a football coach, and she went crazy and asked me about what happened to law school, and I said, well, my grades aren't that good anyway, so I got to figure something else out. But I don't know. It's kind of an addiction, and I've always loved it. Growing up in the house I grew up in, and it's never. That's the love for the game's never decreased. I can't imagine doing anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you ever, when you're out on the water, and just relaxing and thinking about the upcoming season and that, have you ever came up with a play or anything while you're fishing? Can you?
Yeah, well, once in a while something will come up, but usually my line's in such a knot that I've got to focus in on trying to get that untangled than football.
So you like fly fishing? That's your.
I do. That's my thing.
Mm-hmm. And what's your favorite fish to target?
Well, it's trout in these rivers in western Montana, but I enjoy pike and walleye fishing with the fly rod. I enjoy steelhead and even done a little salmon fishing. And then I haven't had growing up here and not getting around the world much. I haven't had a lot of saltwater experience, but I've had a couple of chances to fish for bonefish and some of the jacks, and that's really been fun. That's the new horizon for me.
Yeah, that the first time I went bone fishing, it was down in Bimini, and at first it was I didn't quite understand what we were going to do. There's this old guy, and we're just out in the shallows, and all he was doing is just looking, grabbed the rod, threw it, and handed it to me. And
oh, that's funny. You're cast there, and you're going where? He goes, at that bonefish that you can't see 5 feet away from you.
Yeah, and boom, it was there. And for a little fish, they fight unbelievable.
Yeah, they're the fastest of them all, man. They're pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried going after the big king salmon over on Fort Peck yet?
I haven't. The captain and I have talked about that numerous times, and I'm kind of excited to one day get out there and do that with him. I do enjoy that stuff, and so one of these days, the captain and I are going to get that done.
Yeah, you really need to go try that. I think you would absolutely love it. It's a patience deal because you might go for quite a while before you get a bite or anything, but man, when you do, it's like nothing else out there. They are such a powerful fish, and when who'd have ever thought that we could catch
king salmon in Montana or in eastern Montana? How about that?
Yeah.
It's such a that's one great thing about fishing is wherever you are, there's something to catch.
Mm-hmm.
You can go after smallmouth a lot of places. You can fly fish for carp. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff to catch if you just figure it out wherever you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's once you get the basics down, you can pretty much fish anywhere. I mean, the basics kind of are there, and then you can get into all the nuanced stuff. Now with fly fishing, you can really get into. I've watched some fly fishermen. John Perry is just a true artist, and I've watched him do things with a fly rod that just flat blow me away. How good are you at that at working a fly rod now?
Well, like I could probably do some things that blow you away. Like you would be shocked that I could get a rig hooked that high in a tree, or that many one back cast and have that many knots in one line. It's pretty amazing. I can burn a fly line with a cigar faster than anybody I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do some stuff that would blow you away.
Yeah. Okay. You're like the captain and I. Then we have done.
I can run the drift boat into a bridge abutment with the best of them.
Yeah, we have done some crazy stuff out there. One of my favorite stories is we were out king salmon fishing, and that the heat of the day gets on you and all that, and the captain, he is a notorious napper, and so he said, okay, he says, Rigger, I'm taking a nap, so you take over the boat, and I'll wake up here in a little while. And well, he's just snoring away, and I don't know what it was, but next thing you know, I drifted off too. So there we are, both sound asleep in the boat, trolling along. And thank God I woke up just before we hit the dam.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said for a guy that can take a nap under a tree on the riverbank on a sunny day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, captain can sleep pretty much anywhere, but I'll tell you that I couldn't believe that I had done that. And the thing that I always wondered about is what were the other fishermen thinking when we were going by, and they're looking and going, both of those guys are sound asleep.
Well, you guys are world famous. They knew who you were.
Yeah. They were like, everybody just, look out for those two. They're at it again. Have you ever had a time on the river where the frustration of not being able to catch anything caught up with you? Usually when we're younger, that'll happen a little bit, but your life
is. I do like catching more than I like fishing. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I've come around to being out there and not distressing if they weren't biting. The one thing that bugs me is if I can see them and I can see them eating and I can't get them to eat what I'm tying on. That bothers me. Yeah.
Yeah, that and that's the thing now with these new electronics, especially in the lakes and reservoirs where you can now see the fish down there. You can actually see your line going down in front of the fish, so he's sitting there looking right at it, and he doesn't take it. And
yeah, that's why I like those bonefish you were talking about earlier. If you get in front of them, they usually eat it.
Yeah, they'll go after about anything. What's the largest fish you ever caught, Coach?
That's a good question. I've been out in the blue water a couple times where we caught a pretty big bluefin tuna.
Ooh.
But in terms of freshwater in Montana, caught a couple of big rainbows and a couple of ranch ponds that were tipping the scales at a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really good fish up in. We go up to a lake west of Kalispell. There's some good rainbows up there too. So I don't know how big they are, man. I always let them go.
Yeah,
but big, like two hands to hold them up.
Right. So, what lake was that? Do you remember what lake it was?
It's the none of your business lake.
Yes, he is a true fisherman. That is for sure.
It's that lake up by the creek that I won't tell you the name of that one either, creek.
The none of your business lake. Yeah. Yeah. Captain has a special technique that he does where we will look and see where other people are catching them and then go over and kind of horn into their area. I call it the captain's monkey see, monkey do.
That's right.
But yeah,
I'm not above asking for advice either. By the way.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're out on the river, do you come across people that recognize you? Is it hard for you to just get away and not have people going, "Oh, hey, there's Coach"?
People do. It's Montana. I mean, sure. Montana is just a really big neighborhood. Everybody knows everybody. But Montanans are great, and it's fun when we're out on the river and get to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. And like you said a minute ago, maybe get some information from guys that are better fishermen than I am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But people are great, man. It's cool to get out and chat with people on the river.
What is your favorite fly rod?
Oh gosh, we always have the big debate growing up east of the mountains where there's a little more wind. I always like a 9-foot 5-weight on the west side of the state and a 9-foot 6-weight on the eastern side of the state because there's a little more wind.
Oh, huh. Okay.
And then I got all kinds. I'm become a gear junkie now, so got all kinds of different rods and reels, and I like them all. Mm-hmm. So seem to be a better caster with the more expensive ones.
Yeah. It always seems like the most expensive thing is the thing that works the best. And it always pisses me off because then I've got to go buy that. And I've got more junk that, I have no idea why I bought it, what it's there, when did I last use it. It's just, it all collects and goes, but you always seem to get that favorite where you go, this is my go-to. This is the one that always, that doesn't let me down. How about, we're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, talk a bit about what was the most unusual time you've ever had out on the water. Even though they may look like one of those, by appointment only places or just for contractors. No, Superior Hardwoods of Montana is always open to everybody. So visit their showroom in person. You can find them at 5120 Highway 93 South in Missoula, Montana. Or if you can't get to Missoula, you can visit them online at superior-hardwoods.com. So whether in person or online, stop in and find out what makes them the best source for wood products that you'll ever find anywhere. And I mean anywhere. Like custom mantles, reclaimed beams, lumber, and one-of-a-kind paneling products. They have the best selection of domestic and exotic lumber, turning stock, figured craft wood, and natural edge slabs. A selection so vast, it completely blew me away the first time I saw it. I don't know of anywhere where you'll find such a huge selection of an incredibly unique wood. Now, sorry I got off topic there for a minute, but it still amazes me when I think about what they have there. Now, back to remodeling projects I was talking about. They have you covered from beautiful, versatile alder molding, maple countertops, and an impressive selection of hardwood flooring in stock. Now, don't forget about redoing your home office, or how about likely the most used room in the home, the kitchen. You want to make your kitchen be the most unique kitchen in the world? Superior Hardwoods of Montana is the place. Now, for those of you that have already done business with Superior Hardwoods of Montana, thanks for your business, and we hope to see you again here in 2025. Now, If you're still thinking about what you want to do with your house, no worries. Take your time. Just remember, John, Corey, and the rest of the crew are here for you if you need some ideas or if you want them to find you something special, though chances are they already have it in their massive selection of the most unique woods in the world. They really are your best source for anything and everything wood. So, as I said, stop in person at 5120 Highway 93 South in Missoula or online at superior-hardwoods.com and let them guide you through the woods. We are back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast. I am with Coach Bobby Hauck, the winningest coach in the Big Sky Conference. Back in November 4th of 2023, he won the game against Sacramento State and became the most winningest coach with his 124th win. And you haven't looked back, my friend. You just keep doing more and more of it.
Well, we're trying, man. Every week's a new adventure.
Mm-hmm. The pressure has got to be unbelievable. I watch it on TV, or I'll be at the stadium watching you, and I mean, you can just see it where you're going, oh, man, I just want to, you're just about ready to explode. How do you tone that back down? Because it's a passionate sport. It's a big boy sport, and you can let your emotions get the most of you.
You can. You got to keep it under control, and like you said, there's a little bit of a fine line there because you can't succeed at our game without playing with fire and passion for it. And the competitive zeal has to be there, and it's always got to have the ability to be reined in because everybody wants to win. I always and am interested to hear people talk about how competitive they are, and usually that's exhibited when you're in competition. Mm-hmm. And you got to give the other side credit too, and that's part of acknowledging that there is a competition. The other side's good too, and they work hard and play hard. But I really enjoy keeping score, and it's always, no matter what the event. But football, I think, is the ultimate game because there's 22 guys out there at one time. There's a lot of input on each play, and there's a lot of, from a fan and observation standpoint, there's a lot of people that put a lot of scrutiny to it and are excited about the game. And that certainly is the case here at Montana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and, the Grizz fans have become quite spoiled. So, when they don't win, I imagine it's not a fun day for you.
No, well, yeah, you want to win, and you asked about pressure. Most of that pressure is internal rather than external, mm-hmm. especially at this juncture. I mean, my kids are all grown up, and I'm doing it because I love it, and no one wants to win more than me. So I'm glad that others feel the same way. In fact, when I first got back in 2018, I chastised a few of our folks for saying, "Oh, that was a good effort today." And I said, "We got to get back to where everybody's mad when we don't win," and we're back there, which is great.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, got to get back to being mad when we don't win. For sure.
Yeah, the only thing we can't overcome is apathy, and we don't have that here.
Yeah, and that is that's important. Yeah, you not winning is not the outcome you're looking for. All right, what about the most unusual day of fishing you've ever had?
Well, I was kind of thinking about that, and one sticks out in my mind. I was working at UNLV. And Robbie had to be in about, I don't know, maybe the fourth grade. And we flew up here in April for 3 days of fishing. And we had a day set up over on the Missouri, and we flew into Missoula, and we got up, and it was a whiteout blizzard, and we weren't even sure the roads were going to be open, but we went over there. And by the time we got over to Craig, it was the wind chill was below zero.
Oh, wow.
We just come from 85 degrees in Vegas, and the truck was encased in ice. You had to throw your shoulder against the door to get the door of the truck open. Had to hose out the drift boats to get the snow and ice off of them. And I mean, it was bitter out. We were debating whether we were going to go, and we went. And it was the best day of fishing I've ever had on the Missouri.
Really?
It was. We rode up towards the bridge at Wolf Creek there, and we had 5 fish on before we got back to the boat ramp. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be fishless.
Yeah. Well, the conditions, you never know what the hell those, and that's the frustrating thing about fish is you never know what's going to bug them or not. And just when you think you got them figured out, they do a switch on you. But what time of year was that? It was so cold like that.
Oh, it's the snowiest month of the year here, April.
Yeah.
It was probably mid-April.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it just came down on you. Huh.
Nuking, wind chill 5 below. It was awful. And it was funny, the year before we were here, the same dates, and it was record highs, 85 and 86.
Wow, in April.
Yeah, a lot more pleasant to fish, but the fishing was better when it was cold.
Yeah.
Everything blew out.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever do any ice fishing, Coach?
I don't. I do my drinking indoors.
Yeah, I have yet to really get into it a lot. I do go a little bit. Captain is really big into ice fishing and loves it. It has become probably one of the fastest growing sports in Montana, which is interesting to me, but it really has taken off here. I mean, we're just seeing record numbers out on the ice, and
it's the thing. A bunch of our guys do it. I've always considered it a upper Midwest deal where they got nothing to do, so they go out and ice fish. But it's people do enjoy it, and I can see the allure when I see some of the insides of some of these ice houses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ice houses. But really, there are times out on the ice that it's actually not that bad out there. And the amazing thing there is we can find a way to catch fish no matter what time of the year it is. If you set your mind to it.
My goal every year, man, is to catch a fish out of one of these rivers in every month of the year.
Okay. So how close have you got to that?
I've done it a few times.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
Every month of the year.
Every month of the year. And, some years it can be a little bit of a deal. Like I caught one in town here on the Clark Fork a couple of years ago in January, and I was landing this rainbow, and I turned around and this guy was talking to me. I looked up on the ice shelf, and this guy was cross-country skiing past me and saw me land the fish. So you gotta be willing to get into that water when it's not very nice out.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to go after things that is there one of those fish that you want to try to get before you go to the great beyond, Coach? Is there a fish that you've always wanted to catch?
I want to catch a permit before I'm done. I have not got one, and certainly haven't caught a big one. I've had a couple shots and haven't gotten that done.
A what?
A permit.
A permit.
Yeah, saltwater jack. They're great fish.
Wow, I'm going to have to look that up.
Notoriously hard to get. I caught a giant trevally, which was cool. But in terms of all the species in Montana, about the only thing I haven't caught is I haven't never gone down and done the paddlefish thing down in Glendive.
Yeah, I have not tried that yet. The other one that I've always wanted to do is get up there on the Thompson Chain of Lakes and go after those tiger muskie up there.
That's another one. I have not caught the muskie. I've heard rumblings of that up there, and kind of intended to do it last summer and never got around to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting fish. Yeah,
they're way interesting.
They call it the fish of 1,000 casts because they are just notorious for being tight-lipped. They just are not interested in anything, and they can make you crazy from what I've heard talking to other people there. And they're one of those where they're a big fish, and you see them down there, like we were talking about earlier, and you go, what is it going to take to get this thing to go for it? And they're a really elusive damn fish, but I've always wanted to try to get one of those.
Yeah, the likely answer to that question is be a better fisherman than I am.
Mm.
But
Right.
I've got intentions of going up in that neighborhood and getting a couple, if I can.
Yeah, that's a good one to go after. Have you spent any time up on Flathead Lake? Do you go after the big Mackinac at all up there?
I've done that a time or two. I've really enjoyed that over the years. Except I'm kind of like the pariah, man. I'm the king. When I go to do that, I'm the king of, you should have been here yesterday. We caught 100 of them, and we don't get a bite when I go generally.
Yeah,
you don't want me in your boat.
How about have you ever gone after the one that surprised and absolutely shocked me was the Lake Superior whitefish? And,
yeah, they're cool.
And that, what an incredible fighting fish that is, and how good of eating a fish it is.
They're really that's a really cool deal. And then the other thing I found is that when they come in to spawn in shallow, is the Lakers will get up there, chase them a little bit, and that's when you actually have a chance on the fly rod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a lot of folks that will go after those on the fly rod, especially up on the Flathead River there.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable fishery, and those that have that thing figured out those guys you guys, I should say, catch a lot of fish.
Well, we do try, but the thing that I love about it is just the idea that down below you is something, and I really get into this whole trying to figure the fish out, and there are so many little nuances of.
Well, according to the captain, your brains are of a similar size, so that's probably a good match.
Well, I don't know if my brain's that small.
I'm just going on what the captain says. I'm not saying it myself.
So have you ever sat and with a fly rod, there's a talk about nuances, all kinds of little things that you can do that can, get that fish to finally make the move. How long did it take you to get proficient on the fly rod?
Well, I kind of grew up doing it, so we could afford what we could buy at the Coast to Coast or the Fort Big Timber, or Gamble's hardware store. So whatever gear we could afford, we would do it. So you kind of had to learn how to cast because the gear was so lousy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things I really like the opportunity at least once a year to go on a guided trip, because those guys are on the water every day. And every time you go on the boat with those guys, you learn something if you're paying attention.
Yeah, I have said it so many times on this show that if you want to learn how to fish, hire a guide. And they are probably the best teachers out there. They love to teach. And especially if you're going to an area where you don't know a lot about it, you can spend days and days and not catch anything. Why not go out there and get a little instruction and figure it out? And Montana, of course, has some of the best guides on the planet. So I'm a big fan of hiring guides and learning how to fish and learning how to figure a lake out.
Yeah, me too. I think it's way beneficial and saves you a lot of no fish days on the water. You can get a jump start on how to get them.
Mm-hmm. Do all your kids like to fish?
My son and I go every chance we get. The girls have all done it.
Uh-huh.
Some, they aren't quite as into it anymore as they were when they were little, but all of them know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I think that's the best time you can spend with a kid is fishing.
I agree. You just got to have the patience with untangling the lines.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a good deal. And so you got that and skiing have been that skiing. And, the other thing for us with football games is people will travel, extended family will travel across the country to watch a game. They can care less about a family reunion, but they'll come to a big game.
Mm-hmm.
So between football, fishing, and skiing, we've kept everybody pretty close.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're out traveling around all over the place playing these games throughout the fall, have you ever had a chance to go try fishing where you're there, or is that just absolutely no time to be able to do it?
Yeah, that's just no time. We the way we travel it's like a military operation. Everything's down to the minute. Our guys don't even miss a class. We leave on Fridays after class is over, and most of the time we even practice here in town before we go. So we are on a tight schedule. We come back right after the game and get up early the next morning and start on the next one. So
Mm-hmm.
I have scouted out a few bodies of water I want to try someday.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. I would assume recruiting can be a little bit like fishing in that you go out there and you want to get this kid to play for you. So does everybody else. What is your technique to try to get them to?
Well, we should steal your guys' term, catching the big ones, man.
Yeah, there you go.
We're after that. It is, and a lot of the guys, and since we're talking on your show, it pertains. But a lot of the guys that we recruit have an affinity for the outdoors and specifically the hunting and fishing piece.
I was just going to ask you if that has helped in recruiting and that, hey, you can not only play some great football in a town that loves their team, but it's a damn good place to live.
Yeah, you're hired, man. We're gonna pull you in on recruiting weekends. You can give the pitch.
Boy, I don't know if you want to make that big jump. That put a lot of pressure on me there, Coach. I don't know.
I would love to introduce every one of our guys to your crew, to you and Deadeye and the captain and all of them. I think it'd be great.
Well, we would love to do it. If there's one thing that we know how to do, it's to talk, and we talk a lot.
Yeah, I never got the impression the captain thought the term "talk is cheap" really applied to himself.
No, we will both talk at the same time and hear each other at the same time, and it's I don't know. Is when you get a good fishing partner, it just you kind of almost finish each other's sentences. It's kind of a weird deal that you're. A good fishing partner is hard to find. Now, do you like?
Sounds like a good marriage. I don't know about you.
Well, it really is. It kind of is.
I interrupted you. What were you going to ask me?
Well, I was going to say, well, heck, now I can't remember. Well, we'll get to it. It'll come to me.
You are in that age bracket.
Yeah, I definitely have got into that age bracket. Well, we're going to take one more quick break, and then we'll wrap it up here, Coach. When we come back, I want you to talk a bit about the psychological end of fishing, and if it is kind of a we've talked a bit about that it reduces stress and that, but I want you to talk a little bit about how it works for you to try to put you back in the zone, especially after a tough season, when you can get out for that summer. And what all does fishing bring to your part of the equation and getting you ready for the next season? Yeah, my friends at Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer are proud to be the authorized dealers for the top truck, trailer, and snowplow brands in the world, like CM Truck Beds, Diamond C Trailers, and of course, like I said, Boss Snowplows. As I've been saying, last winter we got off a little easier, but this year it's going to be a lot different. Now, why am I saying that? Well, did you hear the podcast I did with Matt Rosencrans from the National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center? He said Montana and other areas in the Northwest are in for a lot more snow. Of course, that means driveways, parking lots, roads, and all that are going to need to be plowed, and plowed a whole lot more for the rest of this winter. And of course, that means you'll want a Boss snowplow to get the job done quickly and perfectly every time it snows. And that, my friends, can only mean one other thing. You need to talk to Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer right now about a Boss snowplow for your truck, tractor, ATV, UTV, while they can still get the one you need. Then you'll be prepared for what's coming, because not only will you have the best snowplow that is perfectly designed for what you want to put it on, but the folks at Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer will install it for you so it works the first time and every time. Now is the time, my friends, to be ready for what is going to be coming our way a lot with the best. A Boss snowplow from Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. If you're in the area, you can stop by at 5680 Expressway in Missoula, Montana, or you can go see them at rmtte.com. Take a look at all the Boss snowplows they have right now, as well as other equipment like CM Truck Beds and Diamond C Trailers that will also make your life so much easier this winter. Yeah, there is no better place to get you through this winter than Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. Again, website rmtte.com. Easy to remember and a great way to take a look at what they have. That's rmtte.com. I'm telling you, folks, they know what they're doing, and they're going to be your best friend this winter. Go see them. Back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast, I am with Bobby Hauck, the coach extraordinaire. I'll tell you what, you have done some amazing things in your career, but no matter what kind of coach you are, you can't have a perfect season all the time. And have you found that, let's say a season went kind of sideways on you, have you found that fishing kind of takes that away? Is it a way to put you back in the zone at all? How do you use fishing?
Well, it's a great escape, first of all, from the other stuff you got going on, whatever that might be. And, I think that's one of the reasons I like fly fishing is you have to be focused, on the task at hand. Otherwise, you've got a mess, or you're falling down the river and swimming or whatever. And I also like the science part of it. So you have to be tuned into all that, what's going on around you. So I really enjoy it. It's really a great distraction. But one of the other things I do like is when you're out on the river and it's just you, it's like my wife always says, what'd you guys talk about? I said, shoot, we spent the day 100 yards apart with the water running. You don't have any discussion when you're out wading.
Yeah.
And so you get some alone time, and it takes me back to my roots. I get to think a lot about people maybe I haven't thought about in a while. And it's just really, the rhythm of it is very settling. And I always feel good about things when I get off the river.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the same way. You know, it takes me back to the days with Grandpa, and the first pole he got me was just a cane pole with a line tied on the end of it and a fly on the end of that. That was it. And I was like, well, where's the reel and all that stuff? He goes, nah, you got to learn how to catch a fish with this first. Once you do that, then we can start moving into these other things. But you don't need
you didn't know it. You were learning with the Tankara setup.
Yeah.
And now the Euro nymphing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I was blown away because I was like, what? Well, I thought I was going to have all this stuff, because I saw all of his equipment and all that stuff, and I just couldn't wait to be able to get my hands on something like that. Nope, cane pole, that's it. We go down to the Rattlesnake, and we're walking along towards the river, and he stops and he goes, "You go on ahead and bring me back a fish." Well, aren't you going to come with me? Nope, you got to figure it out. You just go figure it out. And man, I stayed out there until dark. I was going to get a fish. I was going to bring a fish back, and I did. And that was probably the biggest. I guess I was absolutely hooked after that. It was.
Well,
have you ever had any experiences like that when you were a kid that stick in your mind?
Yeah, I'm with you. We growing up, down in Big Timber, Montana, we got to grow up, it was 20 years earlier than it really was. It's small town Montana. It got a little bit of Mayberry aspect to it. So we did a lot of things that people don't let their kids do anymore by ourselves. We were at the river and we backpacked and we did all that stuff. And got a chance to do all that. It was really fun.
Yeah. That was what I did growing up on a ranch up 9 Mile, and that was the same kind of thing. Man, you have a fly rod. I had one on tractor. I had one in the pickup. It was just, you had to have it no matter where you were, because any chance I got, I was gonna try to fish. Didn't settle too well with my dad a lot of times when he would come out to check on me, and he didn't see the tractor going around and around. Instead, he found me on the fishing bank.
Well, we're still at it, finding days to fish, man.
Yep, that is for sure. For kids that dream of the day they could play for the Montana Grizzlies, what advice do you give youngsters? Is there an age where you start to try to get them into this sport, or how do you? I'm sure you get asked all the time.
It's really about enjoying the game, enjoying competition. I think sports are good for boys and girls of all ages. Football, in my opinion, is the greatest game there is, and it teaches you a lot. Tom Brady said it last fall. He said every kid should play football. It's great for them, all the lessons they learn. And then, you got to work hard at it. You got to take care of business at school. You got to have a zest for the competition. And then, your DNA is going to be part of that too. Your DNA is going to decide at what level you're going to get done playing. So my advice is learn the game, enjoy the game, have fun with it, see where it takes you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just have fun with it.
Yeah. It's supposed to be, what we do is supposed to be fun. I continue to remind our guys that all the time.
Well, and I imagine it's easy for them to drift away from that. It can get pretty serious out there, and you forget this is.
Well, it can, and there's an aspect to it of, football's not life or death, but it has to be approached that way to a degree. So there's that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But we got to always remind ourselves that it is a game, it's a competition, and sometimes the other team gets you. But good news is when you're a Montana Grizzly, you get to win most of them.
Yep. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Well, Coach, I sure appreciate you taking the time to answer all my silly questions and spend some time talking about a side of you that folks probably haven't got to know yet. And you got to come do the king salmon fishing with the captain and I.
Well, I'm committed to doing it, buddy. And like I said, I appreciate the good humor at all times with you guys. And if you would tell those boys I said hi, because it's always great being on with you guys, and it's even more fun listening to you.
All right, Bobby. Well, good luck this season, and I know that you'll always make it happen. And get out there this summer and get some fish.
All right, man. We're on the case. Go Grizz.
All right. Thanks, Bobby.
You bet.
There you have it, folks. There is Coach Bobby Hauck, and he has spent some time just telling us about his fishing experiences. It's kind of neat to see a whole other side of somebody that you just don't think, oh, well, yeah, I guess he's a normal guy like anybody else. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Be sure and give us any of your opinions, and let us know if you have any ideas for future topics. We always love to see that. Until then, be good to each other. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next time here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Montana Outdoor Podcast. It has been brought to you in part by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. And by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. So what did you think of today's podcast? Send your questions and comments to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com. We should be dropping a new podcast this next Saturday. Until then, we will see you soon out in Montana's great outdoors.